don't forget it, then use these fields for that. We may actually get to the point where you can attach your syllabus to the course, and that way, for this specific course, that way the university, if they want to see a specific syllabus, you just click and pull it up like that, and you don't get called in.
You can't do it now, currently?
Pardon?
You can't do it now?
You can, definitely, yeah. You can attach anything you want. It doesn't show up on your portfolio report, okay? So all this stuff, anything that you want to enter, you can.
But it shows to be reviewed.
Pardon?
It shows to be, you can review it, the committee or.
Right, no, the syllabus won't appear in the portfolio report unless you put it under
What if you develop a new syllabus?
course materials and design and say it's like a new course, and you can attach the syllabus and say why it's done. Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that because in our DAC, for every course that you teach, you have to attach the syllabus, even if you did not develop that syllabus.
Right. Well, we're working, there's a push to get those syllabi out of the DAC process and into an electronic repository.
Yeah, I know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what process that's going to be, if pharmacy is going to implement or maintain that the DPC wants it, I'm going to push back a little bit and say, well, you guys should have them. They should be in a drawer somewhere in the department. They should be available to the people. If you really want to look at it, you'll find that it's not necessarily in here. However, if I get pushed back and say, oh yes, it will be, then I need to change the report to have them listed, which I can do. You know, and what would happen is that there would just be a link under here for syllabus, and you click on it and it would pull it up. But that's something that the department should have internally, not internally, probably internally also. But, so that's that. So teaching, you don't even have to worry about unless you feel so inclined.
So when you get to that section that shows all of your scheduled teaching, it says items added to scheduled teaching. I have a whole bunch of things here. I just click on the ones that I want to submit for this review.
I'll pull them based on date.
Oh, okay.
So whatever the beginning and end time is, like for Ed, for my review, and Teresa's and Lori, well, you're tenure too, right? So it'd be January 21st from 2013 to January 21st, 2014. So any courses that occurred between there pop up on the report like this. Depends on how they code intersection and what the end date is.
I don't care.
Yeah, but anyway, and the thing is, if for some reason, because some courses don't get a course evaluation, because it's one student, or it's an exempted, or it's a summer thing, you can always add the item, and you can add the course yourself. But be careful to add courses that you're going to get evaluations, because then you get duplicates, okay? Because like Jason Rainovich, who was going gung-ho for me and doing a bunch of stuff and testing, he added all his courses, and then I uploaded all the things. So we had 2 of each, and we had to go and clean out the ones that actually had evaluations. So if you do have an exempted course or one that's not appearing or something that you want to stick in before we did course evaluations.
What if it was canceled but it's still listed here?
That's interesting. Let me know, and if we need to, is there course evaluations tied to it? If you go into edit, does it say like 00 type of thing? And these are the things that we're going to figure out, and that's why you're doing a pilot. You know what I mean? If we're, because that you should never have a course evaluation that has 0 students evaluated. Makes it real hard to evaluate. So we'll actually end up pulling that out or something. I'm hoping that was one of the first courses we did, and we refined our system since then. Who knows?
I'll have to double check this because I swear I had one of those classes canceled, but still there's information.
Well, you know what? It might have cleaned up because I've done the load a couple times now. So I might have fixed that. Okay.
But we don't have to put in the number of students.
No. And like again, if you want to put the number of students in, feel free. But I wouldn't worry about it. Okay?
So what if, since we're still on scheduled teaching,
Oh, sure.
I have one more question. Let's say you were somebody who wanted to put together a promotion package. Then would they would that person go in and start adding all of the classes that would happen between that time period?
if you want to use the system. And what you could do, I mean, when you add a new item, all you're doing is the term, the course name, the prefix number, and section number. That's what you're doing, and then
And
add
it'll automatically bring up the course evaluation.
What if you don't remember the section number? No, I mean, this is.
Then don't put the section number, you know, I don't think that's super critical. I don't even think, the sections aren't even on, recorded on this. But if that's the case, when I'm looking here, there's not a way to upload an older course evaluation file. Do you know what I mean? So when you guys get into that, we'll have to see how, we'll need to talk about how to handle that.
Because people will want it for promotion and tenure,
Right.
which does require going back to the
Back.
archives.
Right. And so maybe what we need to do there is just add a field where they can add, what do you call that? Historical or, you know, old, I don't call it old, you know, but,
Archive.
you know, some,
I thought it was going to automatically, like, based on the period between it should be able to pull out the classes.
right, it will. But
Yeah.
if your period goes beyond, we've only had course evaluation since fall
Oh,
2012.
yeah, that's true.
So if your
So
period goes back to
earlier ones-
2010, which it could very well do because it's 5 years or 6 years,
Yeah.
then you're gonna have a few years that have no.
Can
No.
you attach these?
Yeah, and maybe what we can do we'll have to look and do a thing. We'll either have to add a link here where you can add the course evaluations for those courses, or do some sort of hybrid submitting, and I don't want to get into that. So it's probably easier just to ask for a link to be added here for evaluations prior to whenever we adopted it officially. Okay, and probably for summer, because some faculty members in summer do their own doohickeys, even though they probably shouldn't, but they do, so that's fine. Any other questions, comments, cynical remarks about the scheduled teaching? How are you guys feeling about this? Is this making sense? Does this help?
Yeah.
What's going to happen with academic advice? Oh, sorry.
I don't know, I haven't quite started, and I'm kind of that position that's in limbo, because I have the clinical assistant
Okay,
professor position, and I just was granted this position this past August, so I'm trying to see, like, where do I fall, or do you guys?
what do you have to report for a clinical professor? You still have to do teaching, right?
You gotta do research, you gotta do service,
Okay.
offerings.
Okay.
It depends on
I'm just,
on
I
what your
followed the
appointment
unit.
was.
Appointment was unit eight.
No, I mean, it depends whether it said in your appointment that you were just doing clinical or that you were doing clinical plus teaching plus research plus service.
It's all three.
Okay, so this would, you would follow the same thing. I think the only thing that's missing is clinical hours. Because right now, there's no way to capture, because you guys
But I do
go.
both, so I do lecture.
Right.
But that, what she's saying is that'll be in here, right?
It's not gonna be in here till somebody tells me what you need, and I've been asking a whole bunch of people to tell me what type of data you need to, and I look at pharmacy and I look at nursing, and I think, does HIA or health sciences or studies go out, or public health people go out or something, where you have to, you spend time in the hospitals or the whatever, right, and you monitor students, or, I don't know what you do. But there's enough of them that we have to have some place for them to
Yeah,
put
we
them.
do.
Right.
I mean, like,
Would
for
you
our
hope you have a
clinic-
debt? A copy of your debt?
Even the
Yeah.
evaluations.
Do I have access to all the data?
Yeah.
I do, but I'm kind of looking for you guys to help me with this pilot. I could make it up. I could grab a screen that some other school uses for clinical and say, here it is. I would rather sit down with somebody from nursing, somebody from pharmacy, and any other department and say, what data do you want? And if you draw the screen, I'll have them create it. You know, it's that simple. But I have yet to have, and I've sent a couple emails to deans and chairs saying, I need this, and that's why I'm asking you guys to start early, because if you're missing it, I can get it done in 2 weeks. I just need to know what it is. And until somebody tells me, this is what I need to track, it ain't getting tracked, okay? So if you're in the pilot and and you're a nurse, or do you guys got clinical stuff too, right?
We do, like, I'm in the pharmaceutical sciences.
You're in the other
department.
side.
Yeah, but the other departments, yeah.
Oh,
Pharmacy practice, they have a clinical aspect, and it's two components.
like Dr. Hardy. She's in the pilot, so
Oh,
she's
okay.
supposed to be
So
helping me.
Yeah, so she would help you with that.
So,
So you should get together, with Liz and just say, this is what is needed in nursing.
I will.
for our
Right.
clinic.
and hopefully between the DACs that require that, we can come up with the information we need. And maybe there's some fields that only one department's going to use, but in general should be the same date, time, what you did or something. I don't know what evidence you put. Piece of paper, like a good piece of evidence. Okay.
Okay, while we're still on the teaching, because again, I'm just thinking of our DAC and the things that we have to put in. We do put representative lectures.
Course materials? What you could do for course materials, under course materials, you can add examples of,
Okay.
you know, original materials developed, you know, here. So I would encourage you, and again, your department's gonna have to figure it out, but nobody wants to see every single PowerPoint you use for this, okay. So maybe your 5 best, or your 2 or 3 best, or 1 from each course.
Yeah, that's typically what we do.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we don't
Exams,
put all of
that's
them.
just as where you would put your
Exam
exams.
materials developed, yeah. Okay. Yeah, because once you do that, you give it a title, you give it the date. And it does ask for a month and a day because I have to separate that. So whenever either you did it or whatever date you want to put here, I mean, it's up to you. The description and whatever file you want to, okay?
And presumably, given that some of us anyway, can still give exams that are hard copy, presumably one can scan them.
You can come here and scan them, correct?
Wow.
Right? And they got a really nice scanner. A lot of the bigger copy machines,
Yeah.
if you stick a flash drive in it, will scan to PDF on your flash drive. Right, just ask and we'll come and show you how to do it, you know, Dr.
I
Weiss?
had sort of a more logistical question about course material development. So if I mean, most of the exams I write I'm not cutting and pasting from someone else's exam, or I'm not using an exam that was previously used, so that's something like I developed myself.
What I would do is look at your DAC, okay? My DAC specifically says, for me to be listed as highly effective or superior, those are the top 2 nowadays, I have to demonstrate that I have integrated technology in multiple courses, that I have designed a new course, that I have created original materials and used supplemental materials. And I wrote the DAC, so it's my fault.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, most DACs don't have all of that, okay?
Ours does, plus more.
Oh, even more than. So whatever you need to justify the rating that you need in your DAC, you have the fields here with course materials and curriculum design to do that, okay? So if you want to put in 15 of them, feel free to put in 15, you know, but, or you could say attached are 3 PowerPoints, and then you only get 1 PDF per link. So you could create, like if you want to get real fancy, you can create a PDF portfolio that has different things listed in them. Or you could just create 1 document, and you can put in the evidence that, you know, the 2 PowerPoints are here, or you can
So the
separate it out.
report that gets printed, I understand that this has like lots and lots of spaces that we can fill in as much as or little as we want. But if I'm going to use this to be evaluated come January, I need to make sure that I fill in the minimum number of spaces that the DAC requires. And how do I know what gets printed? Is there an
You
easy
can
way to
go
figure
to-
out which fields get printed in our report, or?
You go to custom reports, and yours won't look like this. Yours will only have portfolio review and veto, okay? So if you do a portfolio review, you give the start and end dates, and you won't have 3.
Oh, it'll
because
actually just show it.
It prints it for you right on the screen.
Oh.
So at any point in time, like Shayla, who's already entered a bunch of stuff, she could print her portfolio, and I keep saying print,
Right,
but I
but it
mean
just
to the
creates a
screen.
separate.
She can print her portfolio review today. And then she can look to see where things are missing. And then what's real nice is that, like, when you flip through here, research group 1, I got lots. Research group 2, I got lots. Research group 3, I ain't got jack, okay? It's pretty obvious when you do this where you're missing stuff, okay? Now I got 1 in the pipeline, And the conference is January 20th through the 23rd. So if I present on the 20th or the 21st, I got one. If I present on the next one, it's next year. So, but I mean, it's real clear. So at any point in time, you can print this and, you know, look at it on your screen and see where your stuff is. That's available to you all the time, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Can I see, how, without exposing this person or whatever you're, how to be in it?
Sure.
Because as you're putting this information in.
This will be mine.
And then this video, can it be used, is it in the format you use, like if you're writing a grant or something, or is it, which kind of format is it?
The Vita format right now is a very generic format, but what's nice is it dumps into Word. So then you can rearrange and do whatever you want in Word, and I'll show you. And one of the reports we can get if people are interested, the NIH quick sketch thing, the BioSketch. The form's there. All I have to do, if you guys want that, is ask for it, and you just put your information in, and I think there's another form that comes up, because you actually have to type in your like paragraph, and then you just click and it prints everything for you.
The NIH one.
Okay, so I'll ask for that.
You know, for most of the people, they're writing, NIH, they have to have in that format, that's why I was asking.
Huh? I'm gonna,
When you started here.
no, this is just that, because my Vita has stuff that I've done at Purdue. Right, so when I do my Vita, I want the stuff I did at Purdue and, you know, things like that. And again, you guys will only be able to do it for you. I actually, as the administrator, I can do this.
Imagine what she's gonna do to all of us, the
I
information
can't
that's gonna
change
be
your
floating
data.
around about it.
I can't change your data, but let's see, and you do it to Word, and so this is what the Vita looks like. Open with Word. And I'm not saying that this is what you would want to look, but it's clean.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
You know, and like if you wanted this left justified and then, you know, italics, you could do whatever you want, but all your education's here. This is where it's helpful to have your education if you want it. My professional, you know, positions, you know, this is when I was at Purdue.
There's, you've got there under licensures and certifications.
Attacher.
Online teacher.
Hey, okay, I'll fix that, thanks, Lori. I'm gonna send mine to you for review before I send it in.
I'm good at proofreading.
Right.
Content, but
You know,
proofreading I'm good at.
So teaching experiences, these are all the different classes that I've taught. You can see how many times I've taught each course. Presentations, grants, service, I'm good with service. I got lots of service. I don't even have all my service in here. But you can see, the more you put in, the more you get out. So it just depends on what you want to do. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to ask you to back up to external connections and partnerships.
I laugh because I don't even know what that is. But
There it is. It's here. Can we add articulation? Or where would you put that?
oh, like you've established an articulation agreement type of thing. Now, is that done as service, or is that part of your load, like your administrative assignment, or is it just?
Definitely not a part of my administrative assignment.
I would think that if that makes sense, we could do that. Once you send me an email and say, add articulation to the drop down for external connections and partnerships.
Okay.
Does your deck specify where that falls?
I need to look at it again. I'll look at the deck
Because,
again.
you know, it
before-
would be, in theory, under teaching and primary duties are only things that you get cues for. But obviously, that's not the case if it's things like
See, I would think
developing
it's
a course or curriculum development or something like that. And so it could be that that's something that falls under your primary duties. More obviously, it would be service, but it could be that in your particular area, establishing articulation agreements is such a big deal that it's like curriculum development. And so it's,
And then I might say it's an administrative assignment. If it's, because this is, the administrative assignment things are those other cue-based things that you get cues for. Assessment coordinator, committee chairs, PME facilitators, union administration,
there's one just for me.
no, and Gabe, or whatever. Okay. But, you know, whatever your administrative assignments are. So I guess it would need to be what makes sense.
Okay.
You know, where would you put it in normally in your portfolio?
I do believe it will go under teaching, under establishing new or expanding programs.
Oh, okay, now we do have that, and maybe that's the best thing to do with it, because I really hate creating new things. But if we went to course materials and curriculum design, I know this is a little loose to do this here, but you have expanded program development.
Okay.
So if you did this, and then you said articulation agreement with whatever,
Okay.
that would probably be the best thing to do.
That's good.
See, if we talk through this, we can all work it out.
Okay, academic advising was on that list of teaching. Now, is that automatically slugged in, or?
No, not at this point in time. So, I mean, if you're doing academic advising, you know, the year that you've done it, and then you can put this in,
God, do you have to put that?
and then the description of advising activities, and I have to make sure that this,
Do you have a pencil?
Yeah, what if you're not getting kids?
you know what, if you, service,
Yeah.
you know, because
Whereas I
the
do
thing
get
is,
cues, but I don't know the number of students involved.
then leave it blank.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because who's ever reviewing it's gonna,
Yeah, no, it's
whatever.
just, some of us, it doesn't matter for me, obviously, but if one is paranoid and one sees a field there, one thinks,
Right.
oh my God, if I don't fill it in, it'll look bad.
Right. I would probably do the approximate number of hours spent, and again, this is for the year. I mean, guesstimate. Okay. What I'm thinking is, there's not a link for evidence here, so this might be a field that I did not include on the portfolio report. So I need to ask them to add that on the portfolio report. Because that would,
have evidence of number of students involved.
and that would probably fall under teaching and primary duties for most people. So, see, that's the thing with this, you gotta kind of stick it somewhere. So we'll probably put it there, and if you don't get used for it, then in your description of activities, you can say this is, you know, I should be service related, here's the evidence. See, look at all this stuff I'm wearing to report. Hopefully this is valuable to you.
That's such fun.
Not to mention fun, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so teaching, directed learning is like, if you guys got thesis and dissertations out there that you do, senior thesis, if you're the chair or whatever you have to do, that's out there. Let me see. Non-credit instruction time, I don't think that usually shows up in the portfolio and stuff, but if it does, course observations we talked about, course material, scholarship. We do have this artistic and professional performance and exhibits. Did you find that useful for what you wanted to do, Shayla?
Well, when I went to add a new item, let's see, I could put all this stuff in there. I could put a description because some of the stuff, you know, the scope is important, makes sense, you know, because it's going to apply to the theater and music as well. Invited, accepted, and the others, type is jury, dance.
And remember, the only thing that's getting pulled out for the portfolio report is the evidence field right here, the grouping, and the start date, and the evidence that you're attaching.
Okay, I haven't attached anything, and
Okay.
normally, in our department, everybody is expected to attach visual images or sound files, and we can do that. Okay, I didn't try that.
Yep, you can, that's the nice thing about this, WAV files, GIF files, yeah, all of it. And if it doesn't, let me know.
And there's no
because it should.
limit? Because I'm just thinking about, you know, tenure track people, you know.
There might be a limit to the individual
The
size,
size.
but not to the,
Okay.
you have 50 of them. That's fine.
Because, yeah, we would turn in like, you know, 25
Right.
of our own, and then, you know, 10 images from each class. So
Get it into one file to upload it somehow.
Oh, just one.
You get one file per class, so you gotta do those images and something,
Like Word, and then
Word.
put them in.
web page,
Okay.
something like that. all these fields, just so you know, if you do HTML, if you want, you can use HTML coding in here. So you could do that. And there's a pasteboard down here. If you're gonna copy stuff like from Word or something like that, you can stick it in here and that cleans out all that ugly stuff. But that's just there.
Okay, so all images need to be in one document.
Yep, you get
Per
one
class.
file per screen,
Okay.
okay? But Jason was doing this and he found he was able to do what he needed with all this music stuff.
Well, I know how to do that with some stuff because I can put it all on SoundCloud, which would just be CSS links. But I don't have personal website.
Well, then you can just, yeah, put them in PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
That'd be a really nice thing, PowerPoint, because then when they're flipping through, you can actually provide some text and
That's
the
a good
image.
idea.
And everybody knows PowerPoint, right?
Even
Even Lori knows PowerPoint.
I don't know if I know it, but I
Okay.
used it.
So you get intellectual contributions, which is your papers. You have presentations, which are presentations. If anybody, I mean, pharmacy, you guys might even have copyrights and patents and stuff like that. So that's out there. I don't. Grants, fellowships, that, but I should, but I fall far short of what I should be in life. And what's nice here is research currently in progress. I had one here, I don't know where I put, oh, because it was accepted, so it got moved over. So you can actually put in, you know, what you're doing, and so if you want, later on when everybody's doing this, we can pull up, you know, who's doing what. And Digital Measures is actually working where the university can opt in or opt out, where if you put your research type and keywords, you can do a search for other faculty members that use Digital Measures to find people doing similar things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, once again, the more you get in, the more you get out. And then probably the only other thing that I wanted to show you is service. And all the service is pretty much the same form. Activity name, whatever it is, you know, General Education Committee or explanation of
I know, I was wondering why on that service it had elected or appointed and then other, and I was like, why not elected, appointed, and volunteer?
That's true.
Some people, you know, I mean, at least lately now, you know, we're encouraged to go out into the community to do things.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, if you have ambitious people, they might identify.
I guess if you're not elected and you're not appointed and you say no, that would be volunteer.
I know, but it's like, but if it's just like, if it says volunteer, then you know exactly what it is, and it's no, neither, then well, is it volunteer or is it something else?
Or did you get forced to do it because you didn't step back quick enough and everything?
Exactly, something like that.
Then that would be appointed. So we could check on that, you know, but the activity name here, this is one of the things that Jason found. Committee chair, committee member, but then some committee members have secretaries or vice presidents or this, that, and the other. We added officer, that wasn't there before.
I mean, I have always thought that people who put into their service, oh, and I attended commencement, but that was just really, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like saying, oh, and I came to class every day. You know,
How come you have so many options under your position role, and I don't?
You should have the same thing.
I don't.
Oh, I'm under university. Are you under college or department?
Oh, okay, that's what
you know, attended convocation. So every time I attend one of those
You should get
meetings
credit
at
for it,
Dr.
Lord.
Watson's, I get credit in that either.
I know, I was wondering, what about those, you know, we're required to do those ethics things?
That's just part of your job.
To me, I'm sorry, to me,
takes up your
attending
time.
class every day and attending commencement are part of the job. Hello, but yeah.
Right, so this is the department, has a shorter list, because
Right.
you don't get to attend commencement for your department. But,
Yeah.
you know, other things here. So basically, that's the gist of the program. You're impressed, you're still impressed, okay? It's fairly easy to do. You know, people have been in doing stuff.
I want to see Shayla's, not just kidding, but somebody who's actually under data. You know, how
Mine
does
just has basic stuff, just because I went through and entered in everything I'm certain of.
Well, yeah, I showed you Dr. Laura's, and I showed, you saw mine.
No, I mean, I.
So,
I had questions
that's
about classes.
kind of it.
I was thinking like for, in our case, well, especially when it comes to service, there are things like admission interviews, because we do, this is a big part of our internal service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we interview students coming into the professional program, and that's.
Is there
So that would be
another item?
department
That would be
yeah.
service?
I would have thought that was college, but sorry.
Oh, I mean, it's college, actually. We admit to the whole college.
And what we can do is, if that's, see, that's why I want to show, I try to show as many people as I can what's here, because activity name could simply be admission interviews.
Oh.
And then it would be, are you a committee member type of thing?
Well, see, no, so we have an admissions committee,
Right.
but all of the faculty are required to, so the admissions committee, they just decide which students are coming to interview.
Right.
But then all the faculty participate in the interview process.
So if I was doing your thing and I was doing both, I would have two entries in this field. The activity would be pharmacy admission committee, and maybe I'm the chair or just a member. And then fill the stuff in. Then the next one would be reviewer or admit, you know, so you change the type, two separate activities and change your role. Okay? And then maybe if you're doing the interviewing, is it like a faculty advisor type position, or is it a committee member? You could call it whatever you want. Okay. So most of these things we can twist with what's available, like especially like Patrice's accreditation or articulation and a Beers thing. Most of the stuff will fit if we think about it in what's already here. But if we do run up to something that's not here, that's really not here, like clinical hours, we need to do something about that. So, what I would encourage you guys to do is to go through this with your DAC. And if you have them, I'm here, I'll stay and help look for things if you have questions. If there's something glaring in your DAC, you know, that wouldn't fit here somewhere, let me know. And I can either show you how to fit it in, or we'll figure out how to get it in. Yes, ma'am. But don't wait till January 5th or 10th and call me and say, oh, Liz, I know you told me to do this, but you know me, and I had stuff happen, and now I need this whole screen created. And I'll say, well, you know what? Start making copies.
No, don't be like the students.
Right. So
I was going to say that maybe we have a particularly officious DPC.
this just DPC?
Officious.
Officious.
There have been times when we've been reading through somebody's portfolio, obviously paper, and we've said, oh, he put it under teaching, but really it should be under service, or it should be under research, or whatever. In other words, it's in the wrong category as far as we are concerned. We, of course.
We did that to a person this year too.
So if that happens, is there a way within the electronic world to get that switch, at least for that individual?
What I would do, okay, for all of these fields, except for teaching and observation, which is obviously teaching, but for all these fields, whether it's presentations or anything, you get a drop down that says, is this service level 1, 2, or 3, or research level 1, 2, or 3. So they're picking the level they want. So if we had it in LIMS, we had somebody who said that this was research. And we said that is no more research than anything, it's service at best. Okay, so what I would do then is go into, as your DPC's done, you you submit a thing saying we reviewed your thing, but before we can do our final comments, we ask that you switch this item to research to and this item to that, and then I'll see the message, they'll see the message, they'll go in and switch it, or not. I'll call them and say, let me know when you're done. I'll check, and then I'll upload a revised one so that it's in the spots. Would that work?
It sounds like it.
Okay. And I guess they could say, we could respond and say, no way. It's staying where it is, and then you guys could do whatever
Well,
you
or
want.
the next up the line could do whatever.
Right. But that's what's nice, in that discussion board, it captures all that stuff. So please get out there early and at least just play around, you know, because you know what's weird about your departments, okay? Make sure you can put the weird stuff in, okay? And if, you
Like
know.
you with your big visual.
I know.
Right, and if you're running into problems, let me know. My cell phone number, you guys got my number, you got my email address, I'm here to help.
Here's a question, probably the answer is exactly what you told Lori, but I was just looking at course observations, and like, I don't think I have to worry about this anymore, but in the past, as an example, I did have a senior faculty member who observed my class, and then after repeatedly asking him to give me some sort of document to put in my file, he didn't. And so at the 11th and a half hour, another faculty member came into my class and took care of that issue. But with this kind of a situation, that's not possible. And so let's say now retired Professor X chooses to, you know, but let's say it's me. I would never do this though. A junior faculty member asked me to do a peer observation, and I go, but then I forget to write the thing, and there's no time to give it to that junior faculty member to upload into this. Then what happens?
What I would tell the junior faculty member to do is do the type of observation here, name of observer. I would put requested from Shayla Cassandra. And then under the course observed, you can stick a note in there.
Attended my class on such and such.
Right. Yeah, this, and then it's not there. Or what you could do for your links to evidence, you can actually then attach the email where I emailed you saying, Dr. Cassandra, I need this by this day, just a friendly reminder, this is the third time, then I can include that as evidence. And you can, because I had that happen to me my first year. My chair refused to, didn't get my evaluation.